Thank you very much. Thank you, Data, for accepting this paper. And I was thinking it's the mood of the conference about developing countries. And some of my data, some of my ideas complement with Professor Berdia that had before. Now, my concern is about the BRICS that not concerned, but they are growing and they will grow. Okay, why? Because after the sanctions that the United States placed on Russia, okay, other countries are very scared that they will be also place sanctions on them. So they try to find and more an alternative to the dollar, okay, to use their own currency or some other currency. But as I asked Professor Berdia, will not be easy. Okay, it will be very difficult in the short run, or even impossible in the long term. Yes, the other currencies are gaining ground in terms of transaction. The Chinese renminbi is gaining traction, but they have to go. It's very illiquid. They have to go through a Hong Kong bank. Okay. On the other end, the South Africa rand, there's some convertibility because they have a Swiss bank account, a Swiss bank that does a lot of transactions. But the other countries are locked out. Okay, they are locked out from the worldly transactions. Okay? Now I have here there's no free lunch. Okay, like we say in economics, a Latin phrase. The BRICS country, they started in 2006. Okay, of course, it's Brazil, Russia, India, and China were the first 4 members. South Africa came in 2010. Okay. Now, and of course, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, Argentina, Ethiopia, and United Arab Emirates are joining this year. Again, the threat, if there is more sanctions placed on any of these countries, okay, they will have an alternative. A big issue is Saudi Arabia. Okay, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. Okay, it's the starting of the tipping point. Why? Because they sell oil. Okay, they sell oil, and oil is denominated in dollars. Okay, it's denominated in dollars. Now, when the price of the dollar change, okay, the price of oil will affect the price of oil. Right? So that's the big issue. So I think Saudi Arabia joining BRICS, okay, is the beginning of a tipping point for an alternative and accepting other currencies for the price of oil, except the dollar. Okay. Now, I have here the G7, of course, U.S., Germany, they started, okay, Italy, France, Italy, and Canada. And here the BRICS, of course, every statistic you look, there's some differences, okay? The BRICS, right now, they have about 29% of the 30% of the world's GDP. Okay, compared with 47 of the G7. Again, they're gaining ground in terms of their GDP growth. Imagine 20 years ago, they had only 16%. Okay, they went from 16% of the world's GDP to about 30%. That's a huge, almost 100% increase. Okay, and they will be increasing. Okay, their GDP world per share will be increasing, and more countries will try to join in. Now, here I have another slide that shows the transactions of the world currencies, okay? You can see the dollar is sliding, okay, compared with about 20 years ago, okay, about 60%. And notice the only thing, but the euro, okay, the euro is gaining traction, okay, the euro is gaining traction, and of course the renminbi is increasing in transactions, and you have the Japanese yen, okay, with the problems there with the inflation, of course the British pound, okay, so there is more and more transactions in these other currencies. Again, the renminbi, it could be a world powerful country, but it's liquidity that's the problem. Okay, and of course you have a socialist countries. All these are Russia, China, many. So you don't want to have your money stuck in a socialist country with the government determining a lot of policies. So that's what's keeping the renminbi out of the world market. They particularly have to go through the Hong Kong bank. So that's their difficulties. Now, the BRICS per capita income, I have here, before I had the slide about the economy, okay? And of course, their per capita income, Brazil is about 10,000, Russia about 15, India about 2,500, China about 12,000, South Africa about 7,000. So the big problem here is the BRICS. If they want to come together, okay, their per capita income is not equal. Okay, probably they have an idea of copying the euro. Okay, as you know, the euro 20 years ago they came together, but the European countries, they were very homogeneous. Okay, in their per capita income, in their structure of their debt. Okay. And they are, of course, the very liberal market. With the BRICS, they are very heterogeneous. Okay, as more and more countries join, there's more and more heterogeneity. Very different. Okay, very different. It's very difficult, very difficult to have a currency in where you have per capita income. This different magnitude. Okay, so it's going to be very, very difficult to place a currency unless one thing can happen. Compare with the G7. Okay, their per capita income is more stable. Of course, it's much higher, but much more homogeneous compared with the BRICS. Okay, now what's interesting? Okay, let's take a look at the debt of the BRICS, and you can see that their debt is. Can you see this? It's much lower. Okay, 75% Brazil, their debt to GDP. Russia is very, very low. India is growing. China, we get 50%. That's very, very unstable, their statistics, and South Africa about 65%. Now it's interesting that their debt to GDP is much, much lower. Look at the debt to GDP of the G7. Okay, I mean, we were laughing some years ago that that Greece had 140, 150%. The United States is reaching 140%. Okay, we spent $1 trillion in the last month. $1 trillion of debt in the last month. Okay, it's $34 trillion. We are spending like drunken sailors here in the United States. And about 10 years ago, we had about 70%. So in about 10 years, we doubled our debt. Okay, so that puts a lot of pressure on the dollar. Nations don't want to hold dollars of this huge debt that we have. The debt and inflation, okay? So they will put a lot of pressure on the dollar. So, and
2 minutes left, Professor.
Thank you very much. Thank
2
you,
minutes.
thank you. And you see, Japan 266. They're printing money like crazy. So all these countries, their debt is enormous relative to the BRICS. Okay, and notice as I said before, the BRICS debt is much lower. Now, as any currency, U.S. dollar, you have a medium exchange, a unit of account, a store of value. It's very important. Standard of deferred payment. Okay, a medium of exchange is very important. Now, as I said, the BRICS, they're looking for a currency. Okay, it's not easy to replace the dollar, right? Unless one thing they can do. Okay, here's the dollar in the last 40 years. You see how unpredictable it is. Okay, it varies a lot. Particular in year 2000, when we had the dot-com bubble. Okay, in the year 2000, here is the dollar. Of course, here before you had the South America debt problem where the dollar increased so much. We had the South America. Before we used to have the debts in developing countries, South America, Thailand, Mexico. Now the problems are starting in the United States. Okay, 2000, you had the dot-com bubble, huge financial crisis, and the worst is the financial crisis of 2007. So we start the third millennium with two huge financial crises. Where they started right here in the United States. So the BRICS are concerned about this. Okay, now their currency, there is one probably the defense about their currency. If they could make a currency, okay, on their reserve, they have a lot of gold. These countries, Russia has a lot of gold, India has a lot of gold. If they can support it with gold, I think that will be the key to their success. Okay, a currency based on gold. This was the dollar in the third of the century, based on gold, right? Then we went off the gold standard. So if the BRICS can do that, they could be very successful. Now, the other,
Can we look at concluding, Professor?
Yes. So, yes, thank you very much. And then I want to say all these countries, they are borrowing in dollars. Interest rates are increasing through the roof. So that puts a lot of pressure on these developing countries to borrow in dollars because of the high interest rates, right? So they have a right to have an alternative to the dollar, okay? But it's not going to be easy unless, like I say, it will be a currency that is backed by gold, and I think that will succeed. Okay, so I'm thinking I running out of time. Okay, so
okay. We'll
thank
take
you very much. Any
Thank
questions?
you.
Thank you.
Any questions,
I'm
please?
sorry that I could not get it. I'm sorry I could not get all the slides together. Thank you very much for your patience. Okay.